You are listening to a podcast of Ice and Fire, episode 235 for the week of November 18th, 2018. Welcome back, listeners, to the longest-running podcast dedicated to the epic glory of George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, and occasionally Game of Thrones. As always,
this is Amin.
And this is Kyle. And it's just us two today. Amin having a little kind of... Not really a special episode, but we're talking about something a little different today, right?
Yeah, it's been really cold outside, at least here, so I've been doing some reading to warm me up.
Has it been cold up there?
Yeah, it was minus 20 the other night. That's Celsius.
Oh my god,
it's cold.
It's been about 80 degrees Fahrenheit here in LA. I literally sat out by the pool and tanned yesterday. So.
That's probably why I made it further in the book.
Anywho, yeah, so what's been warming you up, I mean?
Well, we've got Fire and Blood press copy, and that today we're going to have a little teaser review where we talk about initial impressions, answer some questions that have been sent by the listeners, and a couple of highlights I've pointed out, and then we will follow up after the release with a bigger podcast in depth.
So this is kind of just touching on it, like a little reactionary first impressions, like... We're going to talk about what the book looks like, the physical nature of the book, because we've been asked those questions. You've gotten a bit further into it than I have, so you're going to be able to bring up a little bit more about what's inside than I am. But yeah, we're not going to go too in-depth this time. We'll leave that for a longer discussion down the road, but we just wanted to get this out and touch base and tell you what we think.
Yeah, so what is your initial impressions, good and bad?
Initial impression was, holy shit, this is a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be.
I think that was initially what kind of generated is George wrote way more in this area, and then they took part of it and put into World of Ice and Fire and Son of the Dragon, and this is now the first main chunk of it, part 1 of 2.
Yeah, I picked it up and I was like, damn, this is a big history book. And then I started reading it and I was like, oh, this is only part 1.
Yeah.
Part one of 2. I was like, holy shit. I mean, it is, let's see. How many
form and
pages?
feature, it reminds me the most of the Game of Thrones 20th edition illustrated book in the sense that it's mostly text, but it has a decent amount of sketched images. It's about the same size, and that's about the same feel, hard copy.
Yeah, I would say I never went more than a dozen pages without running into an illustration.
Yeah, that's roughly about right. It's between Game of Thrones illustrated version and World of Ice and Fire, which is really full of images. It's somewhere in between.
I agree. And when I go every dozen pages, this book is 706 pages long. So there's quite a few illustrations in this thing. And they are done by Doug Wheatley. And I like them. I keep flipping to this page of somebody getting decapitated, and I can't wait to read that story.
Yeah, you need the context for it. I've seen it
exactly.
Before. Yeah, I like his style of work. Going to initial impressions and kind of linking together with the question, is it worth it? Well, basically, my view of it is if you like World of Ice and Fire, if you like Sons of the Dragon, then this is along that lines, and it's for you. Now, if you don't like that kind of stuff and you only want the next book, then you didn't like World of Ice and Fire, well, then you're probably not going to like it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what it is. If you're just waiting for the next novel, then this isn't going to hold your interest. But if you're looking for the history and those maester historical descriptions about what happened in the past, then this is it. I think it reads pretty well. I was afraid when I was going to open it that it was going to be so dense, because when I opened World of Ice and Fire, I was like, oh my god, holy crap, I need to comb through. I'm not reading through it. I'm like
that
combing
one you can't
through this,
read front to end. You should be jumping around in that one. Whereas in this one you can read front to end. Although I did not necessarily do that, and one of the problems, and this is more, it's a problem if you read the earlier materials. When I was reading at the start of the book here, a lot of that we've already seen, and now it's maybe a little bit longer. But I get that weird feeling that I get when I read a lot of spoiler chapters and then read the book. What's new and what's not, and I get kind of confused, and it kind of reinforced that my decision not to read dance spoilers, because I like to read things fresh and in one go.
Yeah. Honestly, at this point, I don't remember if I've read any dance spoiler chapters. But yeah, as far as the physical book, it's not the size of World of Ice and Fire, like length by width. or length by height, right?
Yeah. I have a photo of the
Um,
3 books. I'll put them up actually with it to compare. But it really is equivalent to the Game of Thrones Illustrated Edition. It's that kind of size.
yes, agreed. It does not have the pillow-esque
Yeah.
cover and back that World of Ice and Fire has. It just feels like a solid book, which is nice. The jacket is a nice like red and black, which you would expect from a Targaryen book, I think. It's got this old school. Is a Targaryen logo on the cover of the flag?
I like the portraits as well and the inner covers on each side.
Yeah.
I'm going to give one of my negatives of the book now. They should have brought me into the process earlier, which I would have fixed it. It's simple. There should be a map in this book. There's not a map. Now, of course, you can always just pull one of your other books and look at it. But this book in particular, with all the battles going on all over the place and all the cities and towns mentioned, they really should have just printed even just the basic map that is in the main books at the front of the book. It's not there. Let alone, what I would have done is I would have added the second page with the stepstones zoomed in, one of the stepstone maps, because of all the mention of the stepstones and the narrow seat, but there's just no map. Like, why is there no map here?
Interesting.
It's not a major grievance, because I'm sure anyone who gets this book has the map, or has the books, but do you really want to be flipping between 2 books when you go in a book this depth? They should
You're right.
put a map there.
Don't. Now that you're saying that, I kind of wish like each section sort of had a little map, like kind of above the chapter title of like the main area where that takes place. I know a lot of
because they jump around the place per chapter.
Yes, they do, but a lot of them, yeah. So I don't know. That probably wouldn't work out too well, and that's a good reason not to do it. But you just saying that made me think, oh, that would be neat.
It wouldn't hurt anything to add 10 pages of the book with little maps of different areas, but at least they have room. There's like, it's not like they didn't have room to stick a map there, and I think it's just an oversight, right? It's something that you wouldn't have thought an editor might not think of, put a map in there, but when you read it and there's all these locations, why not have a map at the front they can just flip to? Like, oh yeah, that's where that stepstones is or whatever. That's where that battle's going on.
True. Can't argue against that, good sir. I cannot.
Now, one of my positives is, especially at the end, near the end of the book, it is pretty much all new material, and it's good, really exciting. And we had that caveat earlier that if you're mostly in the world building, this is your thing. But there are things that are mentioned that you could think, could this come up again, or this kind of relates to theories that we have right now. So I'm going to mention a couple of those, just a few of them now, and leave the rest of them for the main episode. If that's okay. Okay, one of the points that was really interesting, and I don't know how it's been resolved because I haven't finished reading what happened later, but there's something going on in Harrenhal in this book, and I have the excerpt posted. Basically, someone's kind of maybe using magic at Harrenhal. It seems like there might actually be magic at Harrenhal, like the theory that maybe the dragonfires affected it. So, something could affect later on, or might again affect theories in terms of like, is Harrenhal's curse real? Could there actually be magical properties? Well, there's something magical there.
So was it the dragonfire that like turned the magic into a curse or something? Or?
Yeah, that's the theory. I think I had discussions with this with History of Westeros, and they were thinking as well that potentially, I think that the dragonfire as a kind of like an extension of the dragons has made that area. It's almost like radioactive or something, like the dragon magic there, and so that could.
So it's like the Chernobyl of Westeros.
That's right, and so that also there's power there that can be used, magical powers, and that's kind of what's happening here in the excerpt that I posted. Now I don't know what happens later. I haven't got there yet, but there's something going on there. The other thing that's of interest, and this came out of World of Ice and Fire, the whole thing of like, why did Aegon the First make peace with Dorne? And because he was going to keep fighting, and then they sent a letter that was only for his eyes. Then he flew over to Dragonstone and came back. And it kind of goes into the depth there and even adds a couple more theories there that don't really make sense, I think. But just the fact that George is going there again, even adding a couple more, like the theories within the page there, I think that's important. Like, why did he go? Like, we don't know what happened, but I think my theory was that either eggs were stolen from Dragonstone by the Dornish, or a dragon horn was stolen. If it's a dragon horn, that ties into present with a potential dragon horn existing now. Like, it's just reinforcing the dragon horns can exist, and there's something to be feared if you have a dragon. So things like that can tie into the present books going forward.
Interesting.
Okay, let's look at if there's any questions that we haven't answered already. This is we had mentioned. Let's see. We talked about what it looks like in terms of dimensions and art.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
How many chapters are new, and how many chapters have already been released?
Well, if you look at the table of contents, I haven't read the middle of the book so much, so the parts that I've read that seem like entirely new If I had to estimate it, I'd say probably 75% new, 25% old. And it's hard to estimate. I've only read portions of it, but
Okay, fair enough.
that's my estimate now. And I can't. I mean, that's an initial estimate. Don't hold me to it. So
So you're saying there's lots of new stuff.
there's a lot of new stuff. Yeah, I think the issue is that it felt is some of the stuff at the very start is the older stuff like Sons of the Dragon and Aegon's Conquest. So that may tilt you a bit in terms of looking at it. But as you go, everything in the end was new to me, and I look at the middle now, it looks pretty much new. So that's the ratio I'd go with. What I've seen has been good. Like, it's been interesting. But at the very start, I'd say like at the first chapter or two, it's almost like we've seen that already.
Have we seen Aegon's Conquest?
I think we've pretty much seen it. I think we've seen that. I don't know where we saw it. Was it in World of Ice and Fire? Was it in Sons of the Dragon? Was it an excerpt somewhere? But like most of that I had seen already to my mind. But it gives more details. Like even on the Field and Fire, I think it gives more details than we've seen in the actual battle, what happened there. Every chapter has new material within it, is my estimation. Now, it's difficult to tell, right? We'll be able to analyze better when we do the full review at that point, having read all of it.
Yes, sir.
Wasn't there an interview that came out around this time as well in terms of George? I think he said the next thing he is trying to get out is The Winds of Winter.
I don't know if he said that exactly word for word, but I know that he had an interview that came out recently where he said he was locked away in some cabin in the woods somewhere, where the only time he takes off is
he locked himself or somebody else locked him like Misery or something. Like what?
Well, one or the other. You know, I think he locks himself in a cabin in some undisclosed location to try and finish up the book, and all he takes time off is to watch football. So. We'll see.
So he could be in the final lap, basically. He's trying to just get it done and get it to the editor.
Just get it done. Yep.
Well, that's going to be insane. Like to get the next book. I wonder if we'll be able to get a little preview of that.
Like he also said in the interview, which is interesting, is that the show has not affected what he's going to do.
Oh my God! What the heck is going on here? Yeah, go to page 200. I was just flipping through, and I think you're gonna like this.
Are there boobs?
Yes, there are, but it's not.
Oh my gosh!
What the?
All right,
Can you want to describe the image on page?
We are at Jamie and Brienne's old spa, but Jamie and Brienne are nowhere to be seen. Instead, we have four unclothed women who are being attacked by three. They look like women of the faith here.
Septas, with maybe silent sisters.
Septas. Yeah. And they are attacking these naked women. One's getting stabbed in the gut. Oh my God. Other two have knives to them. One's trying to run away.
Well, this is new material. PG-25 maybe? Yeah.
PG-25.
That's how I rate our podcast.
Oh, man. Well, going to be interesting to get to that part.
Yes.
All right. Oh, my God. There's so many dragons, obviously. But so many of these pictures have dragons. They look kind of like old men for some reason. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But, so much dragon. If you like dragons, this is the book for you.
Yeah, I think we mostly answered it. I think it's Laura Cetus trying to get into specifics, like which rulers have new materials. Like I can't tell you that. That's too much. So that'll be to be analyzed by all the people that go through it.
Yep.
Well, go to page 436.
Oh, that's my God. Cool. Oh,
I can post photos of these too. Actually, I'm allowed to put interior photos, so you'll be able to see what we're talking about after you heard the podcast. These two photos. Yeah, let me write that down. 436 200. That's pretty cool. I like this art. I like the style of art. I like the black and white type usage. It reminds me of manga a bit.
Yeah. Oh man.
And, without driving it up too much, I think it fits it well. So I guess what I'll do now, if you have no other comments, is maybe mention a couple of other highlights, and then that's about it, I think, for our teaser. Does that sound good?
Yeah, mention some highlights. Is that all the questions we get?
That's all that I see there. Let's see, they asked if it was worth.
What are you looking on?
I'm looking on our Facebook page. Do we get anything on Twitter? How many hints do you think are in relation to? We kind of talked about it. It's hard to count, but I think there's stuff in there. In terms of Dunk, Egg, and Bloodraven, I think that no, because it doesn't get that far. That will be part 2, Fire and Blood 2. Unless there's something that ties into, like, maybe indirectly to them, but in terms of them, it doesn't get that far. It goes to as I mean, I think the table of contents was released earlier anyway, right? Like I haven't read to the very end, but you can tell where it gets to during the reign of or just I guess to the start of the official reign of Aegon III. Because the Regency is all new material, like the things that I hadn't read before, and it's really interesting. Okay.
Here's a question. How many hints do you believe are in Fire and Blood that will help us with the remaining books
Yeah,
in the Song of Ice and Fire? Okay.
I don't know how many, but I just point out those two, right? Like in terms of Harrenhal and maybe like Dragonhorns, but there are things in there, right? If you see any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will just point to a couple of highlights. In terms of Aegon himself, because I don't know if this was in the material we know before, he went all over the place. The first Aegon, like he held court, like even on the Iron Islands, like he went over there, he went to the north, like he really was doing what he could do to solidify his rule. And there's an interesting picture of that at 43. He knew Balerion was a really, I mean, the essence of his power, so he showed him off all the time. Okay, another comment later on is, I don't know if you remember this, the Kermit, Tully, and Oscar and all of that.
Kermit and Oscar?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Not off the top of my head.
They show up more. They show up. It's an inside joke, I guess, right? Like they show up. The Starks show up quite a bit. In fact, they almost like pretty much want to start a war again. Like they want to extend the war because they just like have nothing better to do. And then I guess if I could dub what the second half of the book, if I had to put a title for it, I would call it The Adventures of Mushroom. You remember Mushroom?
Yes.
Yeah, he shows up a lot. He is all over the place and gets involved in actually important events.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Getting me excited. I mean,
there is also a lesbian Frey warrior as well. I don't know where I put it down, but she's a badass Frey woman.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yes, and then there is something else. I think that I'll leave the rest for the main episode. There's a ball. There's also like almost like a Cinderella ball type scenario where it's like we need to find the king a new queen, and then everyone sends their daughters to King's Landing. But it's not as romantic as you think.
That's what turns into the spa murder.
No, that was early. This is more of a I think it was called like the cattle train or something. That's what they called the ball. There is another horrible wedding. You know, Martin and his weddings, right? There's another wedding where like everyone gets killed and like the groom gets gelded.
Jesus.
And all this stuff, and it's like, wow, those guys are brutal.
George, what the hell?
So that's what I'll mention now in terms of teasers. We'll I have plenty, as you'll see in the. Did you see my post-its on the photo? Like I've marked a lot.
Oh yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, well that's fun. It was fun to talk about it, but to get a little preview of it, and I'll get this episode out today, so I'll at least be able to get that.
Sounds good.
Preview.
All right, well, I think that's all we're going to touch upon on Fire and Blood today. I think that's a good little tease about what's to come, and we're going to get reading, and coming down the line, we're going to have an episode with a lot more information going into details about the book and happenings of the Targaryen lineage. But for now, you guys got an idea of what we thought, initial impressions, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. And I feel bad for Ashley that the book arrived after she had gone on the flight, so she hasn't been able to read it yet.
Oh man,
it arrived late for me too. It took like over a week to get to me.
Dude, it was like a couple days. They popped up on my door. I was like, "Oh, it's here already." All right.
You're like, you better get that inside. You don't want that thing stolen. That's what I was worried about, like somebody stealing my mail.
Oh, jeez. A lot of people steal your mail.
No, but as I said, Windhaven, my copy of Windhaven was, I assume, was stolen because I never received it. So, like the graphic novel. So I will reread the main text for it because we were going to do that anyway to compare with the graphic novel. But
yeah,
it sucks that when you're sent a preview copy of it and then it disappears.
That does suck, big time.
So this time I had it sent to a secure address. I knew it would be safe where it was being sent. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, Kyle.
All right, man. Sounds good. Good talking to you, Amin. I'm going to be gone till December, so I guess we'll touch base then.
Sure. Are you traveling or something, or I guess?
Yeah, I'm going to Hawaii on Thanksgiving, so on Thursday, and I'll be there
Okay.
for a week. I'll be there for
Okay.
a week.
I'm thinking the in-depth episode probably won't happen until December anyway, because it's going to take a while for people to read through it, and everyone will have it already anyway, right? So it's just one of our more in-depth recaps. So we'll just wait till December. And get back.
All right.
We'll be in touch,
Yeah,
bro.
sounds good.
Okay. Cheers, man.
All right. I mean, have a good one.
See ya.